Well, hello, everybody. My name is Madeline, and I'm an educator here at the San Diego Zoo. I'm so excited you're joining us here virtually on this Sunday morning. So, just like we kind of went over, that this program is going to be two animals to start with, and then we'll be moving to another area of the zoo to meet another animal. But right now, I'm going to pass it off to our wildlife care specialist down here in Wegaforth Bowl.
Well, hello and welcome. My name is Victoria. I'm one of the wildlife care specialists. So now you have a face to the voice. I'm going to introduce you to some of our amazing animal ambassadors and wildlife care specialists. First, we have Kyle with Shadow. He is a 7-year-old Timberwolf. And coming across here, we have Melissa with Coda, an 11-year-old Arctic wolf, 12-year-old, sorry. They both just had a birthday this month. All right, so I'm going to talk to you all about these wonderful animal ambassadors here. And then while we have a little break in between animals, I'm going to save that time to answer all of your questions. So I hope that's okay with you guys. That structure works out best for us. Okay, so right here, you are looking at the top predator in the United States. Now, they're called the top predator because nothing else really hunts them other than humans. So they are top of the food chain. Now, the food that they are most likely going to go after are going to be ungulates, which mean a hoofed animal. So think about deer, elk, caribou. That's oftentimes going to be their prey, right? They live in large social groups, so something larger is more substantial for all of the animals, right? It's going to feed everyone in their group. Now, if larger prey is not available, they can also eat beavers, hares, things of that nature, so other mammals as well. Now, wolves are very opportunistic hunters. If there's an opportunity to eat, they're going to eat because they never know when their next meal is going to be available. So wolves have been known to eat up to 20 to 30 pounds in one sitting. So I can't even imagine that. It's pretty remarkable, but they've also been known to go 2 weeks without a meal. So again, they have to eat when they're able to, and sometimes they'll bury part of the carcass or regurgitate part of that carcass, bury it, and save it for later. And you can see Coda over there marking his territory. So wolves are very social animals. Again, I mentioned they do live in packs. Generally, packs have about 4 to 7 members. However, some enormous packs can have about 20. So I'm going to bring out the scent, Kyle. So they have a various ways that they can communicate. Again, communication is very important for social animals. So right here, I'm bringing out scent marks. These have fun smells on them, so we'll see if the wolves are interested. They're very different smells. The first one here with Coda has all different types of lotions. Seems like he doesn't enjoy them. Lotions, body sprays. The one Shadow's dragging around was in with our Eurasian lynx. And it does have a little bit of fecal matter from our beaver, believe it or not. So that smells like different animals that maybe the European wolves would interact with. So not these gray wolves that are found here in North America. I guess they'd interact with the beaver, not the European beaver though. So rubbing in a scent is one form of communication. It's called scent marking. So being the top predator, the wolf does not want to go out hunting smelling like the top predator because it would give its self away to its predators, or its prey, sorry. So they want to smell like something less threatening. So whether it's a dead carcass they roll in or some flowers, that's going to help mask their identity. It's also a way for them to collect the scent and bring it back to their pack members. So again, a form of communication. Now earlier you may have seen, I think Coda here especially, our Arctic wolf, marking his territory. That's a way wolves can claim this is mine. A third form of communication is howling. That's the most commonly known form of communication for the wolf. Now, the wolf's territory can be anywhere from 50, that's 50, to 1,000 square miles. So they do cover an immense amount of territory. Now, most of the wolf populations today are found in Alaska, Canada, and Russia. So when you think of those 3 places as well, you're going to notice there's a lot more uninhabited terrain there. And that's where the wolves are going to thrive. So urban development has driven wolf populations out and away. And that's really unfortunate because I'm going to tell you one really cool thing about the wolf, and that is that they are known as a keystone species. Now, if you've never heard of that, that's okay, but I'm going to explain what that means. So keystone species is imperative to the ecosystem thriving properly. So with the predator and prey balance in check, the prey animals aren't overeating, so they're not stripping the environment bare of vegetation. And if there's not too many wolves, they're going to kill just enough of those prey items that there still remains a prey population. Now, wolves are really cool too. When they, well, look at that. Don't worry, he does not eat bark. They are strictly carnivorous. He's going to show off those teeth that help him devour meat as well. Look at those teeth. Let's see, where was I? Pardon? Carnivorous, yes. But before that, it's okay. So let's move on. So yeah, their territory is really important. And you're going to see their design is a bit different than the domestic dog. So you can see they're a lot larger in stature. They also have enormous feet and long legs. So those feet help them go through any type of terrain they may need. Now, their enormous ears are going to help with hearing. They have a great sense of hearing. However, young pups are born both deaf and blind, so mother has to give them extra attention. But the wolf's sense of hearing is so great that in an Arctic tundra, they can hear 10 miles away, and in a thickly dense forest about 6 miles away. So they can hear extremely well, but what's even better than that sense of hearing is going to be that sense of smell. As humans, we only have 5 million scent receptors. The wolf has 280 million scent receptors. So you can only imagine the things they can smell that we can't, even right here on stage. So that's why it's fun to provide them with those fun scent marks that we did with the other animal scents, with our own scents. I know when I first started working here 4 years ago, Shadow, the young guy up here, did not like my perfume I wore. So I learned not to wear perfume at work. He did not like the scent. So I've also stopped wearing that scent because if it's not wolf approved, then it's probably not a good one. No, but these guys are remarkable predators, and it's really neat. We love educating the public and showing off these guys because it's not often you come to the zoo and you see an animal that's found right here in our backyard here in the United States. So this is our top predator, and they are so impressive. I think one of the cooler things I've learned about them is just how social they are. So we talked about the packs. Something else I didn't tell you about those packs is they support each other completely. They look after their elderly. Even though the breeding pair are going to be top dog, they are the leaders of that pack. Oftentimes the elderly are going to be walking in front, and they are going to set the pace so everyone can keep up with them and they look after them. Also, it's a collaborative effort to look after the mating pair's young. Again, they're going to be the one delivering the offspring. That typically happens just once a year. Now, I know these guys are just walking around. It looks like they might be heading home soon. Sometimes that takes a while because they're having too much fun out here. Wolves typically cruise around their territories going about 5 miles an hour. Their top speed's pretty impressive. It's anywhere from 35 to about 43 miles per hour, and it's very short-lived. So you can only imagine when they're ganging up on the prey item, they can hit the acceleration pedal and go. Now, it is a team effort, so they do stalk their prey and take their time to catch it. I read a fact earlier that I thought was really neat, was that the gray wolf was, well, wolves in general, sorry, not the gray wolf specifically, like these two are, the wolf was the most widely distributed mammal on the earth. Now they only have about a third of that territory left, but I thought that was really neat to think that these guys were so prevalent back in the day. Unfortunately, the wolves in the US, so the gray wolf has gone on and off the endangered species list. Again, they are keystone species, so they are very important, and we love showing them off just to show that we need to protect these animals. They are not a nuisance. In fact, they tend to avoid conflict unless they're the ones causing it, right? Unless they're hunting. But they can hear us, they can smell us. Oftentimes, people that live in an area with wolves hardly ever see them. It's probably a different story if you own livestock. That's a whole different scenario there. So yes, we want to protect these wolves. Now, a really cool story about the population bouncing back is the story of Yellowstone National Park. So wolves hadn't been there for about 100 years, or since 1922, so about 100 years from now. But back in 1995, they decided to reintroduce 14 wolves and to see what would happen. There's a really neat time-lapse video, so if you want to see it, I highly recommend typing in time-lapse of Yellowstone National Park. That should probably bring up the video, or adding wolf reintroduction in there. There were too many prey items. They were grazing. The grass was all dead and brown. There was not enough vegetation. With just the reintroduction of 14 wolves, it changed everything. So it balanced out the predator-prey population. It cleared the fields all turned green. Now, with them killing the carcass, leaving behind extras, birds of prey got to come and feed off of what they left over. Even bears will sometimes pick apart what wolves have left behind. Now, it brought back the beaver who opened up streams for the muskrat. So it's really neat that, these animals can have such a chain effect in the environment. Now I'm going to open up to some questions and see what I can answer.
Excellent. We have quite a few questions, so we'll do a pretty quick rapid fire. So current age and weight?
Yes, so great question. So the younger guy, the bigger, robust Timberwolf, he just turned 7 last week, and he hovers about 95 pounds. Now, wolves have 2 layers of fur. They have an undercoat and their guard hairs. So during the winter, they're going to look really big and robust. But just like us during the summer, we take off our coats, it gets hot. They lose that under layer. So these guys haven't really yet, but they kind of lose it in patches. It looks like a bad hair day. So they lose that undercoat and they look a little bit scrawnier than some of the National Geographic wolves. So National Geographic catches them in the winter, just like these guys right now. They're looking big and robust. The other wolf is 12 and he weighs about 75 to 80 pounds. That's a great question.
Excellent.
Wolves tend to get up to about 120. That's going to be a big wolf. Yeah.
Okay. And this species originates from where?
So these are found in North America. They are part of the gray wolf family. There are 5 subspecies. We have the Timberwolf, who is the bigger one. He blends in really great with forests. He has some brown, some white, some darker brown, some gray. And then the Arctic wolf is going to be found up near the North Pole, up in Alaska. He's going to blend in with the snow. So wolf populations are found over here on the West Coast, anywhere from the North Pole down to Mexico City. They're able to be found. So pretty cool.
That's incredible. And then we have another really great question. Do they have to be the same breed to be in the pack together, or what if different species overlap?
That's a really great question. I have seen wolf packs where, one member of the gray wolf is black, the other's a cinnamon color. So some cubs can be born, different toned. However, shadow and coda may never overlap. So the Arctic I've seen now, I don't have an exact answer for you. The Arctic stay with the Arctic. So they tend to stay together and mate together. But I have seen pups with a different coloration, the black, the cinnamon looking. So they each kind of stay within their own group, if that makes sense. But they can have some of those different coats. That's a good question.
Awesome. And then you just let me know whenever your next species is ready and I can stop.
Oh yeah, I will. No, I'm looking. Keep fire away.
Okay, awesome. So let's see. How are dogs and wolves related?
That's great. So dogs are descendants of wolves, but it's taken hundreds and hundreds of years to domesticate them. So these wolves, we do like to point out, which I didn't yet, they're very much a wild species. If you saw these guys walking around the zoo in the morning, you would not want to be on the other end of that leash. Wolves, as I mentioned, they don't like conflict. So a stroller popping around the corner at the zoo, that could be absolutely terrifying. Whereas our domestic dog that we actually have here likes them, because one time he found French fries in one. Yeah, pretty funny stuff. So, there's lots of differences. One being body structure. So wolves are designed to go that 43 miles an hour. They're designed to be in all different types of terrain. They're designed to have that coat that protects them in the winter. The big pronounced teeth eat meat. So there's a lot of physical differences. Again, dog breeds have taken hundreds and hundreds of years. We're talking way back to the Egyptians too, right? They had dogs as pets. So it's been a long, long time to domesticate them. So you do see some You can tell they're both part of the canine species. However, there are a lot of differences between them. And hold on to those questions because we do have our next animal ambassador. She's right down here. So right down here, we have a Eurasian Eagle Owl. Now don't worry, she's not camera shy. She's just kind of looking all over. There she is. Now she is among the largest species of owl in the entire world. So her weight comes in at about 5.5 pounds, but the Eurasian Eagle Owl can weigh anywhere from 3 to 9 pounds. So they're incredibly large for an owl. Now I'm going to start talking about her. Oh, we'll start from bottom to top. So her name, Eagle Owl. That is because of those very sharp talons. You see how massive her feet are? Yes, that's where the eagle part comes in, right? Because she's just a fantastic predator, and that is the business end of her body. When those talons come into contact with her prey item, oftentimes it will do the job, and the prey item is no longer with us. So that's good and swift. Now those are feathers on her feet. Every part of her is covered with feathers. I know it does kind of look like fur, but oftentimes she can be found in very snowy environments or harsh terrain over in Europe and Asia. So that's going to help protect her feet, give them some warmth and also that extra layer, like I said, of protection. Now you're going to notice we have some attachments to her. That's to help keep her nice and safe. So she is a free-flighted bird. She does flights every single day, and she has the ability to do them in her house as well. Oh, there's a nice little hoot. Hi. But it's just like walking your dog on a leash. We do have construction right next to us. We want to make sure she doesn't fly into a crane or anything that could be harmful for her. So this is just part of her safety. Now you're going to notice her feathers are beautiful. I think she is a very stunning owl. Now, she does give a rather large appearance, but she has honeycomb-like bones. They're very hollow. So much of her is going to be dense layers of feathers, believe it or not. Now, these give her great camouflage in all the different types of environments she's found in. She conceals herself so well that sometimes it's hard for us to find her when we go look for her in the morning in her house. She blends in well with bark, with dirt, with plants, with trees. It really does help disguise her. Now, the Eurasian Eagle Owl has a very impressive wingspan. Hers is 5 feet long. They can get up to 6 feet in length. Now, that's going to help support her as she carries her prey back up into the tree. They can carry something as large as a young deer. So they are very, very powerful. And that's part of why they want to be nice and light, why they have those honeycomb hollow bones. So those wings can support her food. Now that beak is great for ripping and tearing. Sorry, I know you're on the back of that camera. So they do not chew their food, they swallow it whole. However, sometimes the item is too large to swallow completely. So if that's the case, she can shred it with her beak, break off pieces, or what Einstein does, so every day she gets, mice is her food of preference, but once a week she gets a bunny head. Now that's going to be lots of bone, right? So how do you rip that apart? Well, you don't. So what she does is she uses those very, very impressively strong feet and she crushes that skull until it's the right size and she can rip it apart and swallow it. Now, owls do produce this hers are little yellow sac called a cast. So they consume the prey entirely whole, but they regurgitate the hair and the bone. So they ball it up, cough it up, and there it is. So every day that's something we look for just to make sure she is eating her food properly. Oh, that's a great view of her eyes. Now, the color of an owl's eye indicates when they are active. She tends to thrive at nighttime. So she has this beautiful orange eyes. If you see other members of her great horned family, as you can see those feathers on top, she's part of the great horned family. If you see them with yellow eyes, that's indicative of a daytime hunter. Now, something else about her eyes, you might notice once she turns her head back that her pupils are fixed in place. So unlike us, which we can hold our head straight but move our eyes right and left, she is not able to do that. They are fixed. So instead, her neck is designed differently. She has twice as many cervical vertebrae as we do, and that enables her to turn her head, oh, that's a great rotation right there, 270 degrees each way. Now, it can't keep spinning because she would pinch off her arteries, which, you know, feed her brain, keep her alive. But 270 degrees each way, so that is impressive. Now, that also does help her at nighttime. So as I mentioned, she thrives at nighttime. So everything's quieter at nighttime. So she doesn't want to make noise. Just like the wolves didn't want to give away their scent, she doesn't want to give away her location either. So what she does is she sits in her tree and she scans her horizon for her prey item. So instead of having to bounce around the tree, she pretty much has a full range view of her environment in order to find that prey item. Now, something you can't see because it's tucked away beneath those feathers are going to be her ears. Her ears are called asymmetrical because they are not symmetrical. So what that means is our ears are pretty much at the same spot on either side of our head. Hers are not. She has one located kind of where you'd think ours would be, a little bit above that, and then one down closer to her jaw. Now, that's a very important hunting tactic. What it allows is sound to be triangulated. So she is able to pinpoint exactly where her prey item is. So she is a very, very impressive raptor. She is a great hunter. However, I do want to point out, her eyes look enormous, don't they? Well, that's just 1/3 of her eyeball. So we like to relate it to a light bulb. So the part that you screw into the socket, that's the part that you see here. So the bulb, that amount is going to be back in her skull. So she's just naturally a great, great hunter. It doesn't have to come with a lot of plotting and planning to catch her prey. She's just intuitively, she's built to hunt and she's great at it. Now, we like to say animals are conservation or energy conservation specialists, meaning, you know, unlike us who we go running, right? We want to get fit, we want to get six-pack. Animals, they're not going to burn energy unless they have to. So she is going to hang out on, whether it's a rocky cliff, whether it's a tree, she's going to hang out in her environment. She's going to sit and wait for the right moment. She's not going to fly around the sky like a hawk and search for her prey. She's going to kind of sit and wait for that opportunity. But with one fatal swoop at about 35 miles an hour, again, on contact, she has her prey, they're gone, and then she works on consuming them. So I might work on some questions here. And if some of the wolf questions were too good to miss, feel free to tie those in. Ask about Einstein, our Eurasian Eagle Owl here. 1 second before you do, I have a cute story. So with these owls, you're not able to tell gender. You have to be invasive. So because we had no reason to identify gender, we just waited. So we named her Einstein. I mean, it kind of fits, right? Those beautiful eyes, those amazing feathers on top, but she's actually a girl. She laid an egg, just like chickens, an unfertilized egg. So we know that she is in fact a female. All right, so David's gonna get in a good spot for you to look at her while I answer some questions, and she is hooting away right now. She's very chatty today.
All right, we have a question. I took a wild shot in the dark and said 30 miles an hour, but they asked how fast she could fly.
So she can swoop down at about 35. So she and the wolf could, you know, find a prey item. I don't know who'd win, probably the wolf. But yeah, so 35 miles an hour. That's going to be the top speed. So so she is designed for one thing, and that's to hunt. So unlike hawks who search the sky, you know, the peregrine falcon's the fastest mammal on the planet, or fastest animal on the planet. You know, she doesn't hunt like that. They hunt very, very differently. So she doesn't need that speed. She only needs to be fast enough to make that swoop from point A to B and then back. So that's a great question.
Awesome. And then quickly back to wolves. What's the oldest wolf we've ever had, or how old is our current oldest wolf?
Yeah, so we only have the two wolves you saw are the only wolves in the zoo. So we've discovered that they do better off exhibit, so living here behind the scenes, than on exhibit, which makes sense, right? I mean, they hear so well, they smell so well, they see so well. That'd be a lot So they do much better here. So you guys are the only people seeing them today. So it really is a special treat when we are able to bring them out, and we do love it. Here, the oldest wolf we've had, about 15, 16 years old, is going to be the top age we've seen here in the zoo. That's nearly double the lifespan out in the wild. Out in the wild, you're going to see about 8 to 10 being the top age. Again, they do hunt together and protect each other, but there's only so long that the old wolves can keep up. That's a very good question. And our oldest wolf is 12, and that's the Arctic wolf, Coda.
Amazing. We don't have very many more questions. We have one question. How many feathers does the owl have?
Oh my goodness, I wish I knew how many feathers she had. If you zoom in on her face, I don't know if you're able to, you're gonna see she has so many tiny little feathers even around her beak. She is just covered in them. I love showing off, as I mentioned earlier, and you got to see her feet. Just everything is feathers. So I have absolutely no idea. But David, do you want to do the disappearing finger act? We talked about all the layers of feathers she has and how she really, it's a little further up, I think. There you go. See how his finger disappears entirely into her breastbone there? Yeah. So that just goes to show you how hollow she actually is. And, you know, she really does need to be nice and light to take advantage of bringing her prey from that point B that she flew down to back to point A, back to where she is nesting, or a nice tree where she can enjoy it. So I wish I knew how many feathers. I think that would take the rest of my life to probably count them.
It's kind of what I said. But we don't really have any more questions. If you wanted to go ahead and wrap up, and they'll meet their last species.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. Well, thank you so much. You guys had some really wonderful questions. We were very excited we got to introduce you to these two, I guess, 3 different animals today. I hope you enjoy your final stop. Thank you so much, and take care.
Thank you so much. And I think we're gonna, if there's any, I don't think there's any more questions, Jess, right? So.
Not really. No,
All right.
nothing.
So I'll just take a quick break while we have everyone here. My name is Matt Lacerdo. I work at Northeastern in our alumni office, and we're one of the hosts of this event. So we just want to thank everyone for joining us today. I know that our wonderful zoo experts are on their way over to get over to our next animal. So I hope everyone's having a good time. And I just want to also take a quick moment and thank all of our alumni. This year, between Giving Day and many other things, many of our alumni have helped support Northeastern philanthropically. So we just want to take a moment and quickly thank all of our alums for joining us today and for helping support Northeastern and our current students today. So thank you very much. And hopefully our zoo friends will be back in another minute or so, and we'll get to our final animal of the day. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for participating in this program. We really wouldn't be able to do any of the incredible things that the zoo gets to do without people like you supporting us from all the way over in Boston or wherever you may be. You might be having a rainy day, right, Matt? It's not too nice outside, but here in San Diego, we're happy to have you. Sun is shining, skies are blue, and there's always really cool animals to meet. So I think you'll really like this last stop. And if you think of any more questions, just feel free to throw them into the chat and I'll answer them as we go. It'll be just another minute or so before our educator is out there with our last animal. So we'll just give her a second. If anybody needs to go grab something to drink, something like that, feel free. But make sure you're back in a couple of seconds. Yes, Duncan. So we just got the question, is the San Diego Zoo open to the public? Yes, we are. We've been open for a couple of months now. So we're very, very happy to be back open. The animals are happy to see people as well. So please drive on down, come see us in person. And do I have a favorite animal at the zoo? Oh, this is the hardest question. Every day it changes. So today I'll tell you it's the snow leopard. We have 2 here right now and they are a breeding pair. So maybe in just a couple of months we'll see some cubs. Pretty cool. Don't think there's anything cuter than snow leopard cubs. And then do they all have yellow eyes? Yes, they do. So particularly for the Eurasian Eagle Owl, they are all gonna have the same color on their eyes, that bright yellow. And I believe it helps with seeing in the dark, but I'll have to double check. Great question. And how did the animals handle the zoo being, or how did the animals end up at the San Diego Zoo? Excellent question too. We have been open since 1916, so we're over 100 years old. Oh my goodness. So a lot of the animals that were first in our collection way back when in the early 1900s, some of them came out of the wild. Other ones came from other zoos around the US, and they took a train to get here. And then now, since that was such a long time ago,
Let's do it this way.
most of the animals were born here or born at other zoos that ended up coming here to the zoo. So speaking of animals and cool parts of the zoo, we're gonna go ahead and check out Madeline and where she's hanging out.
Yep. All right. I made it. We're here. We are hanging out in our reptile area. I'm so excited that you're joining us because I am going to show you our oldest animal in the entire zoo. These guys are 100 years plus. We're going to see if they want some snacks. And we are checking out our Galapagos tortoises. Hi, friends. Hi. Now, here at the San Diego Zoo, we actually have 12 Galapagos tortoises. And like I said, that they are the oldest animals in the whole zoo. Now, we don't do this anymore, of course, but these guys were actually taken out of the wild. So I say that they're over 100 years old, but we actually don't know how old they are. We estimate our oldest one is over 130, and her name is Grandma, which is kind of a name. Oh yeah, getting some nice food and some nice treats. Now, right now is actually mating season for our tortoises, and so they are in mating pairs. We haven't had an egg here in several years, and that's okay because we do have a pretty good and active group. Now, in the wild, there are about 10 to 15,000 of these guys left. Those numbers were a lot higher several years ago, but unfortunately, humans have moved into the Galapagos Islands, oh, don't drop it, and have things like domesticated dogs and cats, and then you re-release species such as like a fox or squirrels or rabbits, rats, and then it will get into the eggs of these guys, and they do take several years to mature, so they're not big enough and strong enough to fight off an animal until they are a little bit older. Now, these guys reach the age of maturity when they're about 20 to 25 years old, but after they do reach that, they can mate forever. The females and the males can have and lay eggs ever. So like I mentioned that we haven't had babies in quite a while. Actually, our last baby was Grandma's, and we named it Baby, which is kind of a funny name for a big giant tortoise. Now, there are two types of Galapagos tortoises. They are both really similar. They actually just have a different shape of the shell, and they can be found on different islands. They do have a lot of similarities, and the tortoises are very heavy, as you can imagine. The males are about 500 pounds, and the females can be about 250 to 300. So right now in this yard, looks like we've got two females, and it looks like our two males are eating some hay on the other side, which we can check out in a minute. Hi. Now, like I mentioned with their breeding, when they lay eggs or they lay a clutch, they are going to dig about 12 inches down and, oh, don't fall, and they are going to leave their eggs. They're not the best parents. They're just going to leave them there and leave them to kind of survive on their own, which is really common in turtles and tortoises. Now, it's kind of interesting with these guys that where they lay their eggs and the climate that they're laying their eggs in is going to decipher if the egg is going to become a male or a female. So if they lay their eggs in a cool area, then their babies will actually be all males. If it's in a warm area, then it's more likely to be females, which is really interesting. And it looks like we've got another friend coming over to say hello. Hi, do you want some lettuce too? Might have to do two hands this morning. Hi. Now you can see that these guys are pretty friendly to me. We have not protected contact with them, which means that you can actually go into the yard. Now, of course, if you are visiting the San Diego Zoo, you would not go into the yard and you would not get this close to them. But they are very highly food motivated. So they came over to me to get all the food, and believe it or not, they actually love scratches. So the Galapagos tortoises do something called, hi, you got something on your face. They have something called the Finch Pose. Now the Finch Pose is where they will actually stick their neck all the way up and have a bird come underneath, a finch, underneath, and they will scratch their head and get all of the dead skin and parasites off of them. So when we do it to them, here, don't steal hers. When we do it to them here at the San Diego Zoo, they will stick their heads up kind of like she just did for me, and I underneath, and it is nice and relaxing for her. Now at the zoo here, we have 3 yards for them. So this is usually the female yard, but right now, like I mentioned, that we have some breeding pairs. They're pretty active right now, which is good. It is 63 degrees currently in San Diego, according to my watch. So these guys are cold-blooded, which means that they really rely on the outside temperature to be warm, and that will have them be more active. So you and I are warm-blooded. The outside temperature doesn't really affect us either way, but these guys, if it's 80 degrees outside, then they're also going to be 80 degrees. So on a cooler day, they are less active. They might not be out as much, but I had food and they were like, yes, please. So they ran right over here. Now I could talk forever about our Galapagos tortoises and about reptiles in general. Last thing I want to tell you about these guys is their shell. Now, they have that big, heavy shell, like I mentioned, that the boys can be 500 pounds plus. Their shell is really heavy, but it is actually made out of like a honeycomb structure. So we talked about that with the owl, Einstein, that her bones are kind of like a honeycomb, and that's what we still. They are Galapagos tortoises. So these guys, their shells are really heavy, but it's kind of made out of a hollow material so that they're able to walk around with it. And you might have seen in like cartoons or movies that they can leave their shell, and that is definitely not true. It would be like us walking away from our skeleton. Their backbone is connected to their shell, so they need to be in that shell to survive. All right, now, Jess, okay, they're gonna fight over it. No, don't. We're having a real Lady and the Tramp moment over here where they're sharing lettuce, which is very cute, but not necessary because I have 2 heads of it, and it's not like they're not fed all the time. Here, eat your own. Jess, do we have any questions about our Galapagos tortoises?
We do. Do we happen to know how old the youngest one is and what its name is?
Okay, so the youngest one, okay, you guys are not going to believe me. The youngest one, the cutest one, that's what everyone says. Her name is Madeline, which is also my name. I'm not even lying. All the keepers say she's the cutest one. You ask anyone, they say she has the cutest face, which is hilarious. And I think she's around 80, maybe older. Oh, look at them sharing. You silly friends. But yeah, and then Baby, who was grandma's baby, she's about 20 years old now, but she lives at another zoo. So yeah, we are still kind of, they breed, they try. And if they do have eggs, they're not viable, which is totally fine. We have a good set number here. But yeah, I think the youngest one is about 80.
Wow. Do they drink water? And also, how fast are they?
Oh, good questions. So they will drink water, but it's kind of fun to watch them. Jess, could you show them what their little pool looks like here? So here's their pool. Tortoises are interesting that they won't really drink the water too much. They'll actually just soak in it, and that's how they can absorb all of their liquid they need. A lot of the time, if it's a day that they just need to soak their head, they'll actually stand on the outside of the pool and then just dip their head in completely for several seconds and then lift it up, and they're soaked. So they'll drink water, but not too much. They really prefer to soak. We turn the sprinklers on them, we turn the hose on them, and that's what they really prefer. How fast can they go? You know what? Not very fast. fastest tortoise is a pancake tortoise, and that's because they are flat and squishy like a pancake. So since they're not super heavy, they can go pretty quick. These guys, though, getting them in at night is the biggest pain in the butt. They are trained to come into a certain bell. It's a sound that we use. So they go through husbandry training to come inside. They know to go inside. But oh my goodness, they are so incredibly slow. To get from out here in their yard all the way to the back takes several minutes. And if someone is being stubborn or doesn't want to come in, it's going to take a very, very long time. They are super slow. Good questions. What else?
How many babies do they have when they do have babies?
Oh, that's a great question. So their clutch can kind of range. Usually they'll probably have about 5. They might have a couple more, couple less. Really just depends on their age. But like I said, they haven't been for a little while. Do you want to know?
I think our audio is a little bit spotty, just in case the hotspot is not as close to you, Madeline. I'm not sure if no one else heard your response to that.
Oh, Jess, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you better now.
Oh, okay. Tell me if I cut out again. The question was about the eggs, right?
Yes.
Okay, so they can have usually about 5 eggs, but it really depends on where they're laying them or where they are or how many they're able to lay at once. But usually it's about 5, and that number can kind of vary.
Awesome. Okay, well, do we know how old they can get?
You know what? That's a great question, and it is constantly being studied. So since these guys have been around for basically as long as we've been keeping records of them, we don't really know. So like I mentioned earlier that we actually got these ones from the Galapagos Islands way back when. We don't know a lot about how long they can live. So we have had them in our zoo since 1928. There was the Townsend exploration where they went over and they collected these guys. And we have been keeping records of them ever since then. But that was less than 100 years ago. So we kind of can know somewhat of how old they are. We're going to do our best guess and our best estimation, but it's not for certain. So when we estimate, we just celebrated Grandma's 136th birthday. We don't really know. She could be 120. She could be 150. That's just going to be our best guess. And we like celebrating the animals' birthdays, and we wanted Grandma to have a good day. So Jess, I think that's about all the time that we have. But I do want to say thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed meeting our wildlife care specialist and our 2 wolves and our owl and our really cute and very hungry Galapagos tortoises.
All right, Madeline, thank you so much. We'll go ahead and let you leave the tortoises to their tortoise afternoon.
I know, I still have a whole nother head of lettuce for them.
Oh my goodness, lucky tortoises. Yeah, but thank you so much, you guys, for coming to Creature Feature with the San Diego Zoo. We really enjoyed it. We really thank you for your support. But I will go ahead and turn it back to Matt so that we don't end the entire meeting when we leave. But thank you so much, and thank you for setting it up, Matt. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. One last little pitch, if I can ask everyone, you will be getting a survey afterwards, just telling us a little bit about how you like the event. And the more feedback we get from our alumni, it makes it a little bit easier for us to plan events to help bring you out. So really excited that you were able to join us for this one, and hopefully we'll be able to see you soon. So thank you so much for joining us. And if you ever need to connect with Northeastern, feel free to reach out to our alumni office. We're always happy to talk to you. Thank you so much, and enjoy, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.